Have you ever been in a conversation where the silence felt, well, loud? It's this weird thing we all experience, but we hardly ever talk about it. So today, we're going to dive into the uncomfortable truth about silence and why our brains are so darn afraid of it. Okay, so let me ask you this. What's the most uncomfortable, most unsettling sound you can possibly imagine?
Sometimes it's nothing at all. It's that dead air in a conversation, that pause that just stretches a little too long. We've all been there, and we all know that sinking feeling in our stomach.
Just think about it. That elevator ride with a total stranger, or a first date where you suddenly run out of things to say, or even in the middle of a big argument. In those moments, silence feels heavy, doesn't it? Almost like it's a physical thing right there in the room with you.
It's like we're programmed to fill that void. From the time we're little, we learn that talking is how we connect. So when a gap opens up, our minds just start racing. We see it as a failure, a total breakdown in communication. You start thinking, oh no, did I say something wrong? Are they bored with me? Am I boring? The pressure to just say anything is huge.
But here's the thing. This discomfort isn't just you being weird or overthinking it. There is real science behind why silence can feel so threatening. And it's tied to some of our deepest, most fundamental needs as human beings.
Social psychologists actually have a name for this. They call it conversational flow. The best way to think about it is like a good dance. When two people are in sync, the conversation just glides along. It's smooth, it's harmonious. And that shared rhythm, it's not just nice to have. It's a constant, subconscious signal that tells our brains, hey, we're connected, we belong, we get each other.
So how long does it take to completely shatter that feeling? A minute? 30 seconds? Nope. According to one major study, it takes just 4 seconds. That's it. A 4-second pause, which is so fast that most people in the experiment didn't even consciously notice it, was enough to trigger some serious feelings of anxiety and rejection.
And you can actually measure the impact. When the researchers broke up conversations with that tiny silence, people immediately felt a lower sense of belonging. Their self-esteem took a hit, and that feeling of being rejected, it shot way up. It's because our brain interprets that break in the rhythm as a potential threat to the social bond itself. It's a really powerful gut-level reaction.
The researchers themselves said it perfectly. Even a tiny disruption in that conversational fluency is enough to make us feel negative emotions and rejection. It just goes to show how incredibly sensitive we are to the rhythm of our interactions, and how fast we can feel like an outsider when that rhythm gets broken.
So why this crazy reaction? Well, it's all rooted in our evolutionary history. For our ancient ancestors, being part of a group was everything. It meant survival. Getting kicked out of the tribe, being ostracized, was basically a death sentence. So our brains are literally hardwired to be on high alert for any sign of social exclusion, and a sudden, unexpected silence can be one of those flashing red lights.
And because silence is so powerful, it can also be used as a weapon. This is where we shift from an accidental awkward moment to something that's meant to cause intentional harm.
We all know the silent treatment, right? It's a classic way of punishing someone by actively ignoring them, and it works by weaponizing that deep fear of being excluded. But it can also be used to signal a confrontation, or to create something sociolinguists call linguistic insecurity, that awful, anxious feeling that the way you talk is wrong, which can be triggered when people just don't respond to you. It's a seriously powerful tool for psychological pressure.
And at its most extreme, you see the deliberate removal of all stimuli, sensory deprivation, used in interrogations. These 5 techniques, things like hooding and sleep deprivation, they're all forms of enforced isolation. This is the absolute peak weaponization of silence and exclusion, and it's designed to completely disorient a person and break down their mind.
But okay, that's only one side of the coin. Now we're going to pivot, because just as silence can be used to cause pain, it can also be an incredible tool for healing and for connection.
It's really like 2 sides of the same coin. Everything that makes a disrupted silence feel terrible has a positive counterpart. Instead of signaling rejection, an intentional silence can build trust. Instead of creating anxiety, it can show deep empathy. This is especially true and especially powerful in really high-stakes situations, like in palliative care.
Think about it. In a medical setting, when a patient gets really difficult news, a clinician's silence isn't a sign that they don't know what to say. It's actually an invitation. It gives the patient the space they desperately need to process and to feel, and it shows that the clinician is right there with them, that they're willing to just be with them in that awful moment, not abandon them.
Okay, so knowing all of this,
the good and the bad. How can we get better at this? How do we move from seeing silence as a threat to using it as a tool for deeper connection? Let's get into some practical ways you can reframe your whole relationship with quiet.
All right, here's your simple 3-step toolkit. First, just acknowledge the feeling. It's totally normal to feel a little uneasy. Just don't slap that awkward label on it. Second, actively reframe it. Tell yourself, this isn't a failure, it's just a space for thinking. And third, use a little mindfulness. Just focusing on your breath for a second can stop that anxiety spiral right in its tracks.
And here are some actual things you can do. Try saying something like, "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." That literally gives someone permission to be silent. Or when someone shares something really vulnerable, just pause for a beat before you respond. It shows you're really listening. Even simple things, like making eye contact and nodding, can turn a scary silence into a moment of true connection.
So, when we learn to stop fighting silence and we actually start listening to it, what do we get out of it? Well, the benefits go way beyond just having better conversations.
Embracing quiet can genuinely make our lives better. Research shows it helps us make better decisions, probably because it gives us time to think. It can improve our sleep and even lower our stress hormones. And, as we've seen, it creates that crucial space we need for real, meaningful, emotional connection with the people we care about.
We live in this world of just constant noise, right? A world that seems terrified of quiet. And it really leaves you with one final question to think about. In a world that never ever stops talking, what are we missing out on by not listening to the silence?